Born in the shadowy depths of Hydra's sprawling empire, Advanced Idea Mechanics, or better known as A.I.M, was founded as the geek squad of evil. Hydra, the ever-ambitious overlord of global chaos, realized that world domination required more than just brute force. It needed genius minds tinkering away at gadgets and groundbreaking science. That's where A.I.M comes in, a band of brilliant yet morally questionable scientists dedicated to pushing the boundaries of innovation. In its early days, A.I.M operated as the brain trust for Hydra, creating cutting-edge technology to fuel Hydra's nefarious plans. Think lasers, doomsday devices, and other fancy toys for world-ending scenarios. A.I.M quickly gained a reputation for not just thinking outside the box, but vaporizing it entirely. A.I.M has an eccentric roster of villains, each bringing their own twist to the art of evil science. Among its most notable members is George Tarleton, who later became MODOK, one of A.I.M's most notable creations. With his massive head, advanced intellect, and singular focus on destruction, MODOK embodies both the brilliance and absurdity of A.I.M's creations. He could also be considered the mascot, I guess. Okay, so this next member has a confusing last name. It's my first time reading up on her, and I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, so from here on, I'll pronounce it several different ways to cover my bases. Monica Rappaccini. Monica stands as a symbol of chaotic brilliance. As A.I.M Scientist Supreme, she combines unparalleled expertise in biochemical engineering with sharp wit and ruthless ambition. Monica's ingenuity has shaped many of the organization's most devastating projects, yet her cunning demeanor makes her as dangerous as the inventions she masterminds. Andrew Forson brought a corporate flair to the team. Another Scientist Supreme, Forson steered A.I.M into becoming a business-savvy tech powerhouse, blending world domination with market innovation. His smooth strategies turned science into commerce, proving that a villain's deadliest weapon might just be a boardroom deal. And of course, let's not forget about the countless yellow-suited scientists who are the unsung backbone of A.I.M. These worker bees tirelessly push boundaries, experiment with groundbreaking tech, and occasionally risk vaporizing themselves for the cause. The anonymous minds behind these hazmat suits may not share the spotlight, but their collective efforts fuel A.I.M's unrelenting march towards scientific domination. You know, it kind of feels weird to give props to evil scientists, but here we are, I guess. The divorce between A.I.M and Hydra was kind of a breakup that should have made headlines in the villain world. A.I.M was Hydra's brainchild, born from desire to blend brilliant science with world domination. But as often happens in relationships built on mutual evil, cracks begin to form. A.I.M's scientists began to chafe under Hydra's oppressive leadership. Sure, Hydra had the resources and the ambition, but its obsession with fascist symbolism and heavy-handed control was starting to wear thin on A.I.M's more creative minds. After all, geniuses don't thrive when micromanaged. They want freedom to experiment, innovate, and occasionally blow things up without someone breathing down their necks. Tensions reached a boiling point when A.I.M realized its inventions were being used primarily to further Hydra's own agenda. These scientists weren't just henchmen. They saw themselves as pioneers, visionaries, and architects of their own destiny. A.I.M decided it was time to strike out on its own, leaving behind Hydra's shadowy embrace to become a standalone organization of intellect and chaos. The separation wasn't exactly amicable. Hydra didn't take kindly to losing its pet think tank, and A.I.M's departure was marked by a plenty of sabotage, betrayals, and a few explosions. But A.I.M didn't look back. Armed with its intellectual arsenal and newfound independence, it began to redefine itself as a force of unchecked scientific ambition. Once cut loose from Hydra's grip, A.I.M evolved into something far more dangerous. Without Hydra's agenda weighing them down, A.I.M became a true wild card in the Marvel Universe. A group of rogue scientists with brilliant minds, questionable ethics, and absolutely no leash. The beekeeper suit stayed though because, every villainous enterprise needs a signature look. A.I.M no longer was content with simply inventing gadgets for someone else's schemes. The hazmat-suited Hive set their sights on taking center stage in the villainous arena. World domination became more of a long-term goal, while short-term priorities included building floating cities, creating artificial intelligence, and occasionally turning people into superhuman weapons. Now, the rise of MODOK cemented A.I.M's new identity. Under his chaotic leadership, A.I.M's projects became increasingly bold and increasingly dangerous. From cloning experiments to reality warping devices, the organization quickly gained a reputation as the place where science and destruction go hand in hand. And let's not forget A.I.M's ventures into the corporate world. Ever the innovative thinkers, they began branding themselves as a cutting-edge tech enterprise, peddling their creations to the highest bidder. Need a laser cannon for your evil plan? A.I.M has you covered. Want a cybernetic army? They'll throw in the operating manual. Their blend of science and commerce made them a global threat, proving that sometimes the scariest villains wear lab coats and manage portfolios. Yet with independence also brought chaos. A.I.M's decentralized structure meant that its many brilliant minds often worked against each other. driven by individual ambition and competing visions of scientific supremacy. Still, their shared love for pushing the boundaries of knowledge, ethical considerations be damned, kept them united enough to remain a force to be reckoned with. A.I.M.'s downfall was in sight. It was a tale of pride, betrayal, and, let's be honest, a complete lack of organizational structure. While A.I.M. thrived on unchecked ambition, their obsession with pushing the boundaries of innovation ultimately led them to the brink of self-destruction. The cracks began to show as A.I.M.'s projects became increasingly reckless. Without Hydra's authoritarian leash to rein them in, the organization was free to pursue its wildest ideas. But as their creations grew more chaotic, so did their internal dynamics. A.I.M. was full of brilliant minds, but brilliant minds often come with equally large egos. Factions formed, rivalries intensified, and the group's shared vision for scientific supremacy splintered into competing ambitions. MODOK's leadership didn't help matters. While he was an undeniable genius, his oversized head came with an oversized personality to match. His megalomania alienated many within A.I.M., creating further rifts and power struggles. Monica Fettuccini and Andrew Forson weren't exactly team players either, each pursuing their own agendas with little regard for the organization as a whole. A.I.M.'s decentralized structure, a breeding ground for creativity, became its Achilles heel, as a lack of cohesion made it impossible to sustain their momentum. Meanwhile, A.I.M.'s reputation as a rogue tech conglomerate attracted the attention of superhero groups like the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. While A.I.M. could outsmart most of its enemies, their increasing public antics turned them into a target. The more they flaunted their brilliance, the more powerful forces lined up to shut them down. Frequent defeats at the hands of Earth's mightiest heroes chipped away at their influence, and A.I.M.'s flashy innovations started to seem more like liabilities than assets. Would you believe me if I said A.I.M. had a redemption arc? You wouldn't, right? Well, guess what? Enter Roberto da Costa, a former X-Men who could channel solar radiation to empower himself. Roberto's rise to power within A.I.M. wasn't your average tale of corporate takeover. It was more like a coup, involving shrewd tactics and his mutant powers and a hefty dose of charisma. As a former X-Man and New Mutant, Roberto had plenty of experience navigating high-stakes situations, and he put those skills to work when he decided to steer A.I.M. in a heroic path. This opportunity arose after A.I.M. had grown fragmented and vulnerable in the wake of its split from Hydra. Roberto saw potential in the organization's scientific expertise, but recognized that its reputation as a villainous think tank needed serious rehabilitation. With his financial resources, thanks to his status as a billionaire and savvy businessman, he strategically acquired controlling interests in A.I.M., positioning himself as the new figurehead of the group. Of course, taking over A.I.M. wasn't just about boardroom deals and stock acquisitions. Roberto's mutant abilities, specifically his power to absorb and manipulate solar energy, gave him an edge in negotiations. His bold approach earned him the respect, or at least begrudging acceptance, of many within the organization. Roberto made it clear that his vision for A.I.M. involved shedding its villainous past and redefining itself as a force for good, one groundbreaking invention at a time. Once in charge, Roberto rebranded the organization as, and I am not joking, Avengers Idea Mechanics. Yeah, to signal its newfound commitment to heroism. He led by example, using his mutant powers and business expertise to foster collaboration between A.I.M. scientists and the superhero team. While the road was rocky, Roberto's leadership brought hope to the organization, at least for a while. Unfortunately for Avengers Idea Mechanics, their heroic stint didn't have the fairy tale ending they might have hoped for. While Roberto's leadership brought a fresh and noble direction to A.I.M., the effort to shed its villainous past was anything but smooth sailing, and ultimately it couldn't hold. One of the biggest challenges was trust, or rather, lack of it. Even as A.I.M. took on humanitarian missions and contributed to global problem solving, its shady past with Hydra and its penchant for morally corrupt science casts a long shadow. Many heroes, governments, and ordinary citizens simply couldn't forget what A.I.M. had once stood for, making it difficult for the organization to sustain a rebranding effort. Eventually, the cracks became too big to ignore, and the Avengers Idea Mechanic dissolved, leaving its members scattered. While Roberto and a few like-minded members continued pursuing noble causes on their own, the organization as a whole couldn't overcome the weight of its history. A.I.M.'s attempt at redemption may have failed, but its brief rebranding remains a fascinating chapter in Marvel, at least to me it does. A testament to the idea that even the most infamous groups can try and rewrite their story even if it doesn't stick. The story of A.I.M. is the perfect cautionary tale for ambition without boundaries. From its origins as Hydra's brainy sidekick to its rise as a rogue powerhouse of scientific innovation, A.I.M.'s story is the one of brilliance intertwined with chaos. Its evolution showcases how unchecked genius can lead to groundbreaking progress and devastating mistakes. Whether they were creating terrifying superweapons or attempting a heroic rebranding, A.I.M.'s legacy remains a testament to the incredible and often dangerous power of intellect. In my mind, A.I.M.'s tale is a lesson in the importance of accountability and responsibility that comes with wielding great power. Their legacy remains a vivid reminder that brilliance without balance can be as perilous as any supervillain.